Greetings to everyone, to our practical research to advisor, Attorney Eileen L. Cortez, to our dear panelists, Mr. Ronald Gomez and Mr. Luis Olivar, and to our chairperson, Dr. Evelyn Penus. We are the Group 1 from Grade 12 STEM, Our Lady of Peña Francia. But before we proceed, I would just like to introduce to you the proponents of this study. Ms. Mana Chavez, Ms. Gwyneth Herrera, Mr. VJ Telmo, Mr. Adrian Ralios, Mr. Aldrich Espano, and I, Marvin Mojica. So our study is entitled A Correlational Study Between the Social Media Bandwagon Effect and the Impulsive Online Buying on E-Commerce of Senior High School Students of St. Thomas Becket Academy Academic Year 2021 to 2022. Without further ado, let's begin.
E-commerce boom during the COVID-19 pandemic. The coronavirus pandemic made people stay at home, and as a result, buying essentials online increased rapidly. Though a curse to the world, the e-commerce sector is experiencing a boom. You already know that the process of buying and selling of goods and services using the internet, and the transfer of money and data to execute these transactions is known as e-commerce. People nowadays are highly relied on e-commerce as they want to maintain social distancing. All over the world, people need face masks, gloves, sanitizers and immunity booster medicines. As the demand in the health industry is huge and the supply is less, there is a lot of dependency on online services. Let's see how the exponential growth of the e-commerce boom performs till the end of the pandemic.
According to Tripathi 2019, the rise of social media on the front lines has always been considered in general society forming another social similarity relationship. Moreover, Waddell et al. 2018 defined the social media bandwagon effect that happens when individuals adapt their views, attitudes, and opinions to their peers through social media. Furthermore, according to the study's findings of Muhammad Fahmy 2018, social media marketing promotes the number of impulsive purchases among consumers by discovering impulsive buying effect factors. Finally, Saitape et al. 2019 defined impulsive online buying as purchasing without preparation due in part to the contemplation or purchase's intention. So this study will identify the relationship of why people are becoming more driven to shop on e-commerce with the cue of the social media bandwagon effect and the impulsive online buying.
To be able to conceptualize and know the flow of the study, this is the conceptual framework. The left box indicates the independent variable, which is the social media bandwagon effect, and the right box indicates the dependent variable, which is the impulsive online buying on e-commerce.
And for our statement of the problem, the purpose of this study is to identify the correlation between the social media bandwagon effect and the online impulsive buying on e-commerce of senior high school students in St. Thomas Becket Academy Academic Year 2021 to 2022. Specifically, it will provide following answers to the following. Number 1. What is the profile of senior high school respondents in St. Thomas Becket Academy in terms of 1.1. Sex, 1.2. Age. Number 2. What social media leads to bandwagon effect experienced by students? 2.1. Facebook, 2.2. TikTok. Third, what social media bandwagon influences students through impulsive online buying on e-commerce considering the given? 3.1. Shopping motivation. 3.2. Customer satisfaction needs. Next, is there a significant correlation between the social media bandwagon effect and impulsive online buying on e-commerce factors towards the senior high school students? And for our next part, may we call on Mr. Aldrich Espano to discuss the objective of the study.
For the objective of the study, to critically evaluate the correlation between social media and the impulsive online buying behavior on e-commerce of senior high school consumers, and to identify the social media bandwagon effect factors and the impulsive online buying on e-commerce. And lastly, to determine whether the senior high school student of St. Thomas Becket Academy were affected by the social media bandwagon effect and the impulsive online buying on e-commerce.
For the research method, The researchers used correlation research design in this study since it was invented to investigate the correlation between the variables. It is by Ari Kunto of 2007. The degree of correlation between two variables is classified in the form of correlation coefficient. This is also supported by the opinion of Creswell of 2012 that in correlational research design, investigators use statistical correlation tests to describe and measure the degree of association or relationship between two or more variables or sets of scores. The mentioned method is used to gather information to test a hypothesis or to answer questions concerning the status of the subject of the study. The researchers were confident that these approaches congregated the outcomes essential to this paper. For the population frame and sample size, this research includes all senior high school students of St. Thomas Becket Academy that has a total population of 100 from 2 grade levels and 3 strands. Thus, for the sample, the researchers obtained all the respondents by acquiring those who share some common characteristics.
For the description of the respondents were all senior high school students of St. Thomas Becket Academy. This includes different strands from grade 11 to grade 12, ranging from 16 to 19 years old. They answered the questionnaire that distributed to them, which supplies the information that we need.
For the instrumentation, the survey consists of 3 parts. First is demographic profile, where we analyze the study of population based on factors such as age, sex, and strand. Second part is the social media bandwagon effect. It consists of 2 questions, where the researchers aims to know what social media is more affected by the bandwagon effect. Third part is the bandwagon effect that consists of 2 questions, where the researchers aim to know what factors affect the respondents most. The questionnaire used for the purpose of this study was adopted from the study of Charn Lane Van Schalkwyk, year 2014, the bandwagon effect and consumption, and changes were made in it. The Likert scale is a scale that allows people to express how much they agree or disagree with the statement that assume that an attitude's strength or intensity is linear. Each item on the questionnaire contains a 5-point scale shown as follows: 5. Strongly agree. 4. Agree. 3. Neutral. 2. Disagree. 1. Strongly disagree. And
For the validation of the research questionnaire, the researchers first sought a formation letter from the adaptive study of Charnley Van Schalkwyk 2014, and the research advisor validated it. After that, the researchers proceeded with the self-administered survey testing. Following that, a pilot survey testing was employed. The researchers revised the questionnaire to make it more reliable and accurate for the study and error-free. Lastly, the researchers sought information from the respondents, and the survey questionnaire was distributed for the official survey. For the consistency of our measure, we established test-retest reliability of correlation between the sets of scores. This is typically done as we compute the Pearson's R. For the data gathering, the researchers went through steps A, B, C, and D to gather the data. In step A, the researchers constructed the survey questionnaire and form it. Next is step B. It consists of respondents' consent and pilot testing. After that, in step C, the researchers conducted the official survey, and lastly, in step D, after having completed the answered survey forms, the researchers scored, tabulated, organized, computed, analyzed, and interpreted the collected data.
For the statistical treatment of data, in order to answer the stated problem of the study, the following statistical treatment were applied: frequency, percentage, standard deviation, mean, and lastly, Pearson-product correlation.
For the summary of findings of Problem 1, the demographic profile of the respondents. The finding shows that the frequency and percentage distribution of the respondents in terms of their sex. The result implies that the most of the respondents are females. Table 2, the finding shows that the frequency and percentage distribution of the respondents in terms of their age. The result implies that the most of the respondents were in the age bracket of 17 to 18 years old. For the problem 2, the social media bandwagon effect and the impulsive online buying on e-commerce. The computed R of each relationship, shown on the tables, with p-value of less than 0.001, is statistically significant at 0.05 level using 98 as degrees of freedom. Since the p-value is less than the alpha, the HO or the null hypothesis is rejected, while the H1 or the alternative hypothesis is accepted. However, we can conclude that there is a significant relationship. This result confirmed all hypotheses and obtained the most unexpected results by testing hypotheses from 1 to 8. Although correlation between the variables have been demonstrated, these correlations were moderately correlated, primarily significant to the social media bandwagon effect and the impulsive online buying on e-commerce. And lastly, this finding is also confirmed and supported by our RRL and studies for each correlation.
Our research's main findings are that social media depends on several bandwagon factors and behavior characteristics. Knowing which age group favors social media is significant when deciding where to post an advertisement or promote a product or company. In a comparative study examining the association between social media advertisement and consumer buying behavior of Generation Y and Z consumers, the authors found out that most student respondents were influenced by online commercials, particularly those on social media. The researchers conclude that this study can draw several conclusions from the data analysis and discussion. First is that Facebook shopping motivation and customer satisfaction need affects buying habits positively. Also, TikTok shopping motivation and customer satisfaction needs can enhance the number of impulsive purchases made by numerous bandwagon factors that substantially influence impulse purchases caused by the high behavioral motives of St. Thomas Becket Academy students.
And that is our research presentation all about. We are the Group 1. Thank you for listening, and we are now ready to answer your questions.